and girls, we are here in Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man 2. I added the amazing on my own, but indeed, it is an amazing game. We're here to do a quick web swinging class for Spider-Man 2. This is definitely a game that has a bit of a skill curve, especially if you did not play the original Spider-Man 1 or Miles Morales. So, we are here to get some web slinging done. Chat, hang on just a second. Okay, okay. Uh, Rod, when you're cutting this one up, start the video from right after, start the whole video from right after here. Hello, let's get this Spider-Man web slinging tutorial going. How's it going? Nice to meet you. I'm a writer, you know. We're here to learn how to web swing in the amazing Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So there's a couple points I wanted to cover as we go over it. There's a few things to keep in mind, but this guide is mainly aimed at people who maybe didn't play Marvel Spider-Man 1 or didn't play Miles Morales and are looking for a new way to get their swinging going. So I got my Miles Morales classic suit in red. I think this looks so good. There's a lot of great suits in this game, but I'm not going to spoil them for you because that's not what we're here to do. All we're here to do is teach you how to swing, teach you how to move quickly through the city on those fun little lines of spider silk. So there's three main things that I want to cover as we go over. And the first thing, the most important thing in my opinion, is your settings. So there are four settings that are at least tied to your swing. This one, the swing steering assistance, is definitely your most important. It is a slider from 1 to 10. On this slider, anything above a 0 is going to do a couple of things for you. So if you have it even on 1, but all the way up to 10, if you are to drop down to the city and start to swing, there is no way with the slider anywhere above 0. If the slider is on 10, if the slider is on 1, the slider is on 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. You cannot hit the ground due to a web swing, which is to say, no matter how late I start my line, no matter how late I swing, I cannot hit the ground because he has that little bit of ground protection. You can see it there, but he kind of stalls out right before he hits the ground and continues to move such that he does not hit the ground. Having it on 10 is pretty good if you are trying to move quickly throughout the city, or if you are fairly new to these kinds of games and new to swinging around the wonderful boroughs of Manhattan and Queens. So that's if you have it on 10. Oh man, I'm not great with these menus. If you have it on 0, which is how I personally like to swing, you can absolutely hit the ground. You just saw right there. And his swing will just stop if you have fall damage on, which is the next setting that we'll cover. You'll take a little bit of fall damage, but I personally keep my fall damage on. Webline bending is not actually directly related to your web slinging experience. I guess it's technically slinging a web, but if you look at his feet, you see the line bends as he steps on it. It bounces a little bit as he steps on it. If you turn that setting off, it simply does not bend. It is a taut line. No matter how you move on it, the line is just not. It's not a huge deal in my experience, but maybe if you jump on, you have the difficulty set, one of the high difficulties who doesn't jump. That's still fun. I think it's going to have much of an impact for most players. Slower time scale. Turn this off or on going to build up a bit of speed. There can corner, and if you have that slow corner time on, it slows down the actual game speed as you hit those corners, and if you're moving pretty quickly, it can be a little disorienting. Corner at high speed, just see how it's building there as I try to hit that corner. So that is how that works. That's the settings. Those are four simple settings that you need to know before you get into the game and start slinging. And as you open up the game for the first time, for all of my new players, you guys will have the opportunity to tune those settings to your liking. So one more time, just so you can see what I play on. I prefer to keep the slow corner time scale off, fall damage on, swing steering assistance is 0, and webline bending is on. You could call this hardcore mode for web slinging. This is the game giving you as little assistance as is possible to put in, and what that means is you are going to have a more realistic time as you sling throughout the city, as you swing throughout the city. One other thing to note really quick is that the higher your swing steering assistance is, the less your swing is actually impacted by the direction you shoot your web, which is to say, if I shoot my web to the right on a 0 assist, it will pull me as I'm swinging to the right. If I shoot my web to the left, it'll pull me to the left. But if I have that swing steering assist turned up to 10, if I have it maxed out, then it will not pull me nearly as much from one side of the ground to the other. So that is something to note as well. In general, if you want to swing through the city as fast as possible, you want to put that swing steering assistance as high as possible because you'll maintain more speed. Your speed will be less impacted by factors like the ground, just like that. So let's go ahead and charge up our first jump and talk about some of the other features that you can expect to see as we work on our web slinging. So we'll get to the top of the high point. Okay, so those are your settings as you want to cover them. Some other things to consider as you are moving around. Or I guess we can get more so into the basics of actually swinging across the city. So we're going to set a path for ourselves, facing out to the right. Our goal is to end up on the other side of this island. And as we swing, I'll cover some of the things that you want to keep in mind as you are swinging. So if you have never played Spider-Man before, then you won't know, but the easiest way to get started web swinging is just to jump into the air and press R2. And if you press R2, Spidey, whichever Spidey you're playing as, will shoot out a line, and you will get to swing from that line. Now, for those of us who aren't great with our pendulum physics, the distance at which you, or I guess I should say the point in your arc at which you release your web line is going to have a direct impact on how you move after shooting that line. So I'm going to hit the ground there, yep. So if you let go a little bit higher, you'll jump higher into the air, or I should say later into the arc. But if you let go earlier into the arc, if you see as he's lowest, as he's at the lowest point of his swing, you can build up speed more quickly by doing that. So depending on your goal, sometimes you want to get high in the air, and sometimes you want to move quickly throughout the city. So there's different ways to impact how that would go. The mechanics that are going to be your best friend, especially if you play on hardcore mode like I do, there are 3 major mechanics that you want to keep in mind. The first is your zip to point. It is L2 and R2. If you see our little circular icon anywhere on your screen, it will go to the rims and edges of buildings. If you press L2 and R2 simultaneously, you'll zip to a given point, and is a fantastic way to build up speed. Now, it's an upgrade that you can add later on in the game, but there is an ability called a point launch. So if you do a zip to point and then time your jump right off of the point, you see the screen changes a little bit, it gets that big burst of air, and that is how you build up tons of speed really quickly. If you mistime the jump, I'm pretty bad at mistiming. There you go. If you mistime the jump, you will just jump up actually. Or if you do it too early, you'll just jump up and you won't build up as much speed. The better you time the jump to the point where he lands on your zipped point, then the faster he will go out of your zipped point. That's your first major mechanic. It is your best friend as you swing throughout the city of Manhattan and Queens. Zip to point is your absolute best friend. Especially for my hardcore players, you guys are able to save a bad line if you can tell that you're about to hit the ground. You can save a bad line with a well-timed zip to point. You need somewhere to zip to, so make sure you have these light poles, these fire escapes in your line of sight. The next tool that's going to be useful is your web zip. So very similar to the zip to point, except your spider of choice will just pick a specific point depending on which direction you're facing and pull himself in that direction. So you can web zip in a number of ways. Every swing before each line that you launch, each proper R2 holding web line that you launch, you get 2 web zips, not zip to points. And then once you have used them both up, you need to swing again before you can zip again in any given direction. So the web zip is a great way to build up speed. You can see I can pull myself in the direction I'm going, and that will allow me to build up speed, but it's also a great way to change direction quickly. So whatever direction you're pointing is the direction your spider of choice will zip. So if I point backwards, he'll go backwards, and I can do that again. You can also zip around a corner if you want, and that's a quick way to get yourself moved around a given spot. The third basic mechanic that you want to have in mind as you are navigating the beautiful cities is your air dodge. So instead of pressing X to do a web zip, you can press circle and do an air dodge. The benefit of an air dodge is that your momentum is less affected generally than a zip to point. So if I zip to point backwards or if I web zip backwards, he starts to move in the direction that I web zip. But if I air dodge backwards, he just stops. He almost stalls out in the air. And same thing if I air zip forward, he maintains the momentum that he had before I did the air zip. So, or the air dodge, I should say. So that is a great way to avoid obstacles but maintain your momentum. So if you are coming around a corner and you feel like you're a little bit too close to a building as you're getting ready to corner, so like this, you can air dodge and then keep your momentum in a given space. And that will allow you to continue moving quickly throughout the city. Your air dodges are technically unlimited, but they're just on a cooldown. So you can sideways air dodge at least. Pretty much as you want, as much as you feel like doing. But obviously, your speed is not supported by these air dodges. They're not very good for your speed at all. So those are the three major mechanics that you want to keep in mind as you are swinging throughout the city, just if you are on a beginner level of web swinging. Your basic swing, I guess your four mechanics. So your basic swing, your air dodge, your web zip, and your zip to point. The fourth, or I guess I should say the fifth, kind of transitory swinging ability, your air movement, is your air dive. So you can press L3 on the PlayStation controller, which is just the analog button. You can press it down, and your spider of choice will begin to dive. This is the best way, as a matter of fact. It is not it is the single best way to build up speed in this game in the middle of a swing. There's a couple ways that we'll cover in our advanced section about how exactly you can build up speed before you begin swinging. So an air dive is a great way to get moving a lot faster, and you can dive at any point in your swings. So even if you're going web to web, you can dive in between each swing, and that'll help you keep your speed. During that, our low point relief really lets you get moving through the city. And this is the beauty of the PS5, which this game is obviously requires to play, is that the city can render faster as you swing through it, which means for you as the player that you can swing at higher speed because the game can process your swing speed. So that was the web zip instead of the air dodge. But the game can process your swing speed faster than, or the game can load, I should say, faster than you can swing, which means you can swing even faster. So those are your basic mechanics. The most fun mechanic I would say that you can probably employ is just the simple trick meter. If you hold square and move in a given direction, your spider will begin to trick out. And that is a great way to look stylish as you swing throughout the city. So there's different tricks for each direction that you move, and the beauty, or I should say one of the beauties of the game, one of the fun parts of this game is really discovering what exactly you can do, what tricks you can do in the air. You can do backflips, you can do side flips, you can do barrel rolls, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And shout out Insomniac, they've designed unique animations for getting into and out of each swing trick that you can do. So if you do a backflip, he has a specific animation that he does coming out of the backflip, which is a very cool, very beautiful little detail that this game just has, and this game is full of them. So that is your web swinging basics. Now we're going to get to some of the more advanced concepts, of which there are quite a few. There's a new mechanic in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which is very, very helpful in moving through the speed and moving through the city and maintaining your speed, which is your web wings. If you press triangle in the air, your spider will deploy the web wings, which are really just paragliding, or not paragliding. It's wingsuiting. It's a wingsuit that you can deploy that allows you to move, especially in combination with the rest of your abilities. So if you were to do something like dive into your web wing call, you can see that action lines mean I am moving fast through the city. And that's a fantastic way to maintain speed as opposed to building it up. The web wings themselves are not great for building speed unless you find and can take advantage of one of the beautiful wind tunnels that you can find here in the city. So if you find one of these tunnels, you can use it and it will blast you out and allow you to really get moving through the city. There's wind tunnels all over. They did a very good job of spreading them out so you don't feel like this is the only way to get around, but definitely making sure that if you wanted to, you can use your web wings and move through the city. And they also did the beautiful wind tunnels across the bridge, which means you don't have to swing across the bridge if you don't feel so inclined. And you can get out of these tunnels at any time, and they are also bi-directional, so you can go in either direction in a given wind tunnel. The air dodge still exists. It still works inside of the wind tunnel, so you can tap circle to just spin, or you can tap circle with the direction to move in one direction. And again, if you want to just stall out your momentum, you can do so just by pressing back enter air dodge button. That will stall you out and allow you to stop moving in one direction or another. The charge jump has returned, R2 plus X, which is a great way to get a swing started if you are running on the ground or if you're playing on hardcore mode like myself and missed your line. You can charge jump and get back in the air, but in addition to the charge jump in this game, we have the slingshot launch. If you press L2 and X, your spider will pull back and charge up some kinetic energy for you. You can aim with L2. Wherever you aim, once you let it go, that's where your spider goes. You can deploy the web wings, and that is a way to get moving from anywhere in the city. Those are all of the, I guess, the beginner advanced ways to move around in this game. But of course, they have brought back one of the things I like the most about Spider-Man Miles Morales, which are your spider abilities to move through the air. So there are two. There is your spider launch and your spider dash. So if you get the upgrade a bit later on where you can use your trick meter to refill both these abilities, you can move with some serious speed, which is kind of the goal. Honestly, as you're swinging throughout the city, the thing that you want to kind of keep in mind is just how best to maintain your momentum as you do the different abilities that you have the ability to do. So you can build up, and you naturally have one of these at the start of a given swing, but you can build up your spider dash, which is L2 plus triangle, or I should say L1 plus triangle in the air mid-swing, and your spider jump, which do pretty much exactly as advertised, which is dashing and jumping in the air without need for a web suit or anything like that. You just jump, and the dash gives you some speed. That's the basic gist of it. There's also the cornering ability. It's not something I'm a huge fan of personally. You have to air dodge into it, so I don't love that, to be honest. But it definitely can help you maintain speed around corners. Though this game kind of already solved that with the web zip. You can just web zip to start moving, and of course you lose some speed on the zip as opposed to a corner. I'm okay with that, honestly. The cornering is fine. It's definitely something, as you get more advanced, I would say cornering is probably the most advanced mechanic you can employ. Because if you get really good at cornering, you can use it to keep up your momentum. And again, that's really the basis of web swing. So what we're going to do now is, using all of the tools and tricks that we talked about, we are going to start here at the bottom of the city and complete our swing. Just taking this moment to show off the amazing fast travel mechanic of this game. But we can go ahead. Wow, what a great start to our swing to the city. We can go ahead and move as quickly as we can using all of the tricks and tips that we talked about to get up all the way out and through the city of Manhattan, I believe is the borough that we're in right now. So let's get moving using our spider dash and get going. And we're going to see as fast as we can do it. We're going to move as fast as possible. I'm looking for a wind tunnel in this instance, but I don't see one. And you note that there's very few restrictions on where and how you can combo your different abilities, right? You can go from web wings into a web dash, into a roll. You can corner a building, though we won't have to for this one because it's a pretty straight shot. And it's a great way to get it going. So even as you see with me on the hardcore mode, there's lots of ways. We'll take this wind tunnel because you can cut out early of a wind tunnel to build up a ton of speed. And using a dive into web wings, again, is a great way to start moving fast. And we'll use our low release point to maintain that speed as we swing through. I definitely think that the fastest way to get around is to build up some speed early and then use your web wings to maintain that speed. But yeah, swinging through the city is definitely probably the highlight of the game for most people. Getting to really enact your spider fantasy is really, because the thing that separates Spider-Man from just about every other hero in every other genre of superheroes is his mobility, is his chosen method for getting around. He doesn't just fly around the city, although in this game he certainly can. He moves by penduluming himself. He really takes advantage of his physics and pendulums himself from place to place. And it's a great way to get around, even though it'd kill you in real life, because the G-forces you pull are just insane. He's pulling 10 Gs. Moving at some of the speeds that he moves, he's pulling dangerously high Gs. He would be dead if he was a normal person, but he's a superhero, so that means he gets the benefit of not dying from pulling 10 Gs. A move like this, yeah, the G-forces would kill you. You'd be dead. So that is my Spider-Man swinging guide, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you guys enjoy. We're going to go ahead and round out our swing, and wow, that is so fun. Almost to the end. I can't wait until they add more city. I think that'll be the most fun part about each subsequent Spider-Man game, is just having the different areas available to explore and different textures that you can get. Because if you swing from one area where the ground is, or say the air is lower, you can, wow, did you know you could skate in this game? You could water surf? Where the trees and whatnot are lower, you can swing a little bit lower. You swing a little bit closer to the ground. Your swings have to be tighter, which is definitely fun, but I'm definitely a fan of big city swinging personally. I think that's my favorite part. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and I will see y'all on the next one.